Hello, my name's Vanessa, and I'm 37 years old. A lot has happened in my life in the last few months. I wanted to share this as a cautionary message to always listen to your gut. Not all family members can be trusted, and it's always better to be safe than sorry. My story starts with me meeting up with my husband, Justin. Justin and I met at work. He worked in another department, and we happened to meet at a celebration that our company was having for our departments. Justin and I got along real well. So well, in fact, that we spent the entire time just talking to each other. We exchanged numbers, and then it came time to go back home. Needless to say, we started dating pretty soon after that. We dated for a long time, about 3 years before we decided to get married. Our wedding was the happiest day of my life. My relationship with Justin was a very good one. We rarely ever fought. We had a way of understanding each other without needing to say it out loud. Justin had remembered everything about me, from my hobbies to my habits. We don't plan to have children yet, instead we have a cat. So while I was very happy and satisfied with our relationship, I had a problem with only one thing. That was my mother-in-law, Yvonne. Yvonne was a character in my life, to say the least. She was pretty agreeable to be around. She had her moments of rudeness, but nothing I couldn't handle. She would sometimes make snide remarks to me, and would sometimes even blatantly insult me in the face. Of course, Justin would have my back in a heartbeat, and I was grateful for that. That was not the issue I had with her, though. I didn't know if Yvonne actually struggled with her memory, but my God, it was an actual issue. She forgets everything, everywhere, all the time. We think you should take memory-enhancing pills. You can use some memory tools like sticky notes. No, I don't need them. I'm completely fine. But then, I realized she would purposely forget things a lot when it came to me. Like, for example, there was this one time when she borrowed my laptop because she wanted to browse through some things on Amazon for herself. While doing that, she ordered all these expensive things and conveniently forgot that my card information was saved on Amazon. The order was placed using my money, and it was a lot of money. I was upset with her for it, but I just let it go because Justin managed to get her to pay me back with the money. When it came to my birthday, she completely forgot about it until Justin reminded her. In the end, she still came to the party at the restaurant, but forgot to bring me a gift. Another time, Justin and I were planning on going on a short trip and needed someone to cat sit for me. None of my friends were available, and my parents were out of town too. I hesitantly asked Yvonne to look after my cat. She had nothing to do but come to my house once a day and put food and water in my cat's bowls. She assured me that she would do it. When Justin and I got back home, our house was infested with ants, and my cat's food bowl was overflowing and crawling with ants. My cat was itchy all over because of those ants. I immediately took the cats to the doctor and spent a lot of money on treatments. I was furious, and Justin drove me over to Yvonne's house. Welcome back. It's lovely to see you both. Really? What did you do? I asked you to do one thing, and you didn't even do it. Mom, why did you not look after the cat? What are you talking about? I did. I filled its bowl with food and water. The cat ate its fill and fell asleep. Yeah, you overfilled it. Now the house is crawling with ants. Oh well, it's not my fault that your house had ants in it. I still took care of your stupid cat. You know I'm allergic to cat hair. I can't stay with them for too long. My cat couldn't eat any food or drink any of the water because of the ants. Did you even go over every day like I asked you to? I went over the first day after you left, and I filled the bowl up really well. I figured I filled the bowl with a lot of food and water, the cat would be fine for a while. Mom, that's really not how it works. It's a crappy line of logic to follow. And even you know that. They're just like humans. You have to change the food and clean up every day. Pardon me for not knowing how to take care of pets. You know I hate them. So you went over only one day? Yeah, I forgot about the cat after that. You know, if you knew you weren't able to take care of the cat, why didn't you just tell me? I wouldn't have asked you. Look, is the cat alive? That's all that matters. That was a very crappy thing for you to do. I need you to apologize to Vanessa. Whatever. Sorry, Vanessa. Don't ever ask me for anything again. You are ungrateful. I was really, really upset at how casually Yvonne was treating what she did. She didn't even seem remorseful. After she apologized, I walked away. I didn't trust myself to not explode at her. I was fuming, and seeing her act like that, like it's no big deal, made me want to wring her neck. Justin followed me back out and apologized on his mother's behalf. "Hey, Vanessa, I'm sorry for my mom's fault. Her memory's not good anymore. Next time we'll learn from experience. You don't need to apologize. It's not your fault. Your mom was wrong. She should take responsibility for what she did." We got the ant infestation taken care of. And a vet visit later, my cat was doing fine. Now, I'm only telling you this story because in hindsight, I should have realized how. Yvonne had always been showing me signs of her callousness and carelessness. If I had thought back to this incident, I could have avoided a lot of pain. About a year after this incident, I got pregnant with my son, Don. The pregnancy was no easy task. I had the worst of all the popular pregnancy symptoms. To make it worse, I went into labor pretty early, and Don was born prematurely. I wasn't allowed to hold my son for a good 2 weeks. Justin and I had it very rough in those 2 weeks. When I was finally able to hold my son, I knew in my heart I could never let anything bad happen to him. Justin felt the same way. We both decided not to let anyone from either of our families or our friends meet our baby. We wanted to have some family bonding time with our child. It would also help as a way to protect our son during his most valuable months. We posted a picture of the baby on Facebook, through which we received many congratulations. I also took time off of work to take care of my child. Justin and I decided that it would be best for me to stop working until I recovered and our baby was a little older. Thankfully, I didn't have to quit my job. I was given a year's worth of maternity leave along with the ability to work from home. Before we knew it, 3 years had passed. Don was growing well and doing very well for his age. He was adored by everyone in our lives. But those 3 years were always racked with either working or taking care of Don. Justin and I realized we hadn't spent any real time together, so we decided to go on a date one weekend. Justin happened to mention it to Yvonne. She insisted that she babysit for us. She saw Don's picture on Facebook and kept asking about him. At that moment, I had a gut feeling not to let her babysit. But the experience from last time, I absolutely can't trust Yvonne. I had no idea why. In my head, there was no way she would actually harm a baby. So after a small discussion with Justin, we agreed to let Yvonne babysit Dawn. Justin and I had a great time on our date. We went back to Yvonne's place well after we were done with dinner. When we got there, I noticed that Yvonne's car was not in the driveway. Alarm bells started ringing in my head. Justin was just as confused as I was, but we tried to remain calm. We walked up to the door and rang the bell, only to get no answer. I was panicking at that point, but Justin had a spare key to the house and he got us in. When we went in, Don was laying in the bed crying. He ran up to me and I carried him in my arms. I was furious. Justin looked around the house and he did not find Yvonne anywhere. Yvonne had left my child alone at home. God knows for how long. Yvonne returned 10 minutes after we did. She acted like nothing happened. In her hand was a few shopping bags. I angrily asked her where she'd been. "Where the hell were you? Did you go shopping?" "Oh, I got a call from one of my friends. She was in town and asked me to go out for a coffee, then we went shopping." "So you just left Dawn here when you went to go out with your friends?" "Well, what do you expect me to do, carry the kid with me?" "Of course. Or not even go. You agreed to babysit Dawn. And in the end, you didn't even bother doing that. I don't know why you did that." "First of all, that's stupid, because I would have been annoyed to have to deal with a crying baby while I'm trying to catch up with my friend. Secondly, the house was a mess, and I didn't want my friend to see that." "Are you being serious right now? How are you treating this so casually? This is the second time you've broken your promise to us. If you can't do that, don't accept the request." "Look, I made sure Don was asleep for a while before I left. I didn't think I'd be out for a while, but I lost track of time. That was very, very irresponsible of you. There are clocks everywhere. You don't care about the time at all. You guys are new parents, so I get freaked out, but there's no way to worry that much. Kids are tougher than you think. When Justin was a child, I left him home alone. And you see, he still grew up completely healthy." "Just shut up. I'd never want you around Dawn again. What would you have done if Dawn got seriously hurt? You're lucky we're not pressing charges on you." "But he didn't. Justin, say something. You can't let me not see my grandson because of this. She's accusing me of what I didn't do. I'm just disgusted with how casually you're talking about this. Vanessa's right, and I support her decision. I don't want you near our son anytime soon. I didn't let Yvonne anywhere near our family for the next 3 years. Just the thought of her would make my blood boil with rage. She tried to reach out on many occasions, but I ignored her. I know my mom was wrong this time, but I'm on your side. She's my mother after all. I don't know what to do anymore. You're free to talk to your mom and visit her, but I don't want her back in my or Don's lives. Justin spoke to her every other weekend, and that was about the extent of our involvement with Yvonne. And then one day, Justin told me that he had something to discuss with me. So there's something I need to discuss with you. My mom's been calling me every day. She keeps apologizing for what she did to Don 3 years ago. Why is she suddenly apologizing for it? Well, she told me that she wanted to see her grandson again. Mom then went into this rant about how she's getting old and she doesn't want to live the rest of her life estranged from her son. That's the fate she chose for herself. You can't possibly be thinking about letting her come back into our lives. She just seems so apologetic. It's also a pity if Don doesn't know his grandmother. Yeah, probably because she has something more devious in mind. I don't agree with this. I won't let her harm my child anymore. I doubt that. I know you're still hung up after what happened, because she put our son's life in potential danger. I'm sorry, but I don't want someone who shows no care for my son in his life. He deserves better than this. And I completely agree. All I'm saying is that we slowly introduce her back into his life. Vanessa, don't be so stubborn. I'm not suggesting that we let her be with him unsupervised again. All I'm saying is that we let her see him. That's a big and scary thing to do. What if our backs are turned for a second? She'll hurt him. I'm just saying that she behaved like what she did was not wrong at all. I fully agree, and that's why we'll do it slowly. We'll test the waters. I promise you that Don will at no point be left alone with her. But she's right. She doesn't deserve not to see her grandson. She's been apologizing like crazy recently. She really does seem remorseful right now. Fine. She can meet him, but only when I'm there. She's not allowed to touch him unless he tells her she can. She has to respect all the boundaries that are set by us and Don. If she makes a fuss about it, her visitation rights get revoked. I'll never forgive her. Don't let me down, Justin. That's fair. I'll tell her that she can meet him next weekend. Think everyone will get along well. Even though I didn't want it, I let Yvonne come back into our lives. She became a lovely grandparent to Don. She complained about the boundaries we set, but she never once violated them. Slowly, she and Don began to develop a good bond, and we began seeing her once a week for family dinners. She would spoil Don with all the gifts he wanted, and would plan for family trips just so he could have a good time. She made sure that Justin and I were involved in everything. She kept this up for the next 3 years, and I slowly believed that she had changed. And then one day, she came over to our place. She told us that she had something important to ask us. I need to ask you guys something. I was just thinking that Don and I really haven't spent much time together recently. I mean, thanks to Vanessa. I missed a lot of time with him. You were nothing but a danger to him. Of course I wouldn't let you be around him. I left him unsupervised once, Vanessa. My memory is much better than before. I promised to take good care of him. Yes, you left him alone at home when you were supposed to be looking after him to go out with your friend for a coffee. How in the world would I be okay with ever letting you watch my son? Okay, Mom, what is it that you wanted to ask us? I wanted to ask you if I could take Don out to the zoo this weekend. Don keeps talking about his love for giraffes. I figured that I could take him to see one. Mom, we just gave you the reason we don't want you to have alone time with Don. I know. And I'm really sorry for what I did. I'm sorry I got so defensive about it, and I hate that I did that to him. I just want to prove to you both that I've become better. So you want to take him to the zoo? That's a good 2-hour drive away from us. Yeah, I know it's a big task, but I promise you that I'll bring Don back. This will be a memorable experience for both of us. You shouldn't worry too much. You can go, as long as we can come along. No! I want some alone time to bond with him. How long will you keep punishing me for something I did 6 years ago? I've been good. So far, and I've never hurt Don once. Just please. You know what, Mom? Why don't you give Vanessa and me some time to talk about it, and we'll get back to you on Thursday. I obviously didn't want Don to go somewhere far alone with Yvonne. But Justin was sure. He's sure that she'd changed. She had been a good person to him for the last few years. She was Don's favorite grandma. Do you want to go to the zoo with only Grandma? Yes, Mom. So against my better judgment, I told Yvonne that she could take Don with her. Don was excited to go on a trip with his grandma. I was anxious about it. When will you come back? We'll be back by 4. I was worried about letting my son go out with her for too long, but he looked happy, so I put my worries aside. I spent the rest of the day in an anxious mess. When it finally turned 4, I waited for Don to return. Only he did not. Waited another hour and figured maybe they were stuck in traffic. But an hour later, they still weren't home. Justin thought they might have stopped for dinner together, so I gave them another hour. But when they still didn't come back, I called Yvonne. Yvonne, where are you? Where did you two go for so long? Yes, Vanessa, I'm at home. All right, and where's Don? You left with him this morning at 6 p.m. right now. Why is it taking so long? Oh, I think I forgot him at the zoo. I guess I also forget to tell you about it. What? What the hell you mean you forgot him at the zoo? Well, one minute he was holding my hand and the next he wasn't. I didn't really pay much attention because it was heating up like crazy. I just left the zoo when it got too hot for me. I went to buy a cup of coffee and I returned to the car. I was halfway home when I realized that Don wasn't in the car. What the actual hell is wrong with you? How could you not immediately call me? Or the cops? Relax. It's not that big of a deal. The zoo's open till 8 p.m. I'm sure if you leave right now, you can get there in time to bring him back. How are you being so nonchalant about this? It's your grandchild. How could you do that? What if something happened to him? Ugh, he's old enough to know where to go if he's lost. He'll be fine. You just go and collect him right away. I'm going to make sure you live to regret doing this. I was wrong to trust you. I hung up the phone on her, and I was scared about what was happening with Don. Justin and I drove as fast as we could to the zoo. Justin kept apologizing and convincing me to let Yvonne take Don. I should have been smarter about making that decision. It was only natural to trust someone who's supposed to be family. On my way to the zoo, I managed to get in contact with the management, who told me that my son was doing okay and was sitting in the security room. I informed him that my husband and I were on our way. They assured me that my son was safe and would be there when I got there. When we got there, the zoo had closed, but security was waiting for Justin and me. They led us to Don, who began crying as soon as he saw us. He refused to let us go for a good 5 minutes. The security guard informed us that he had cried for hours, till he finally just remained silent the entire time. Don constantly looked for his grandmother and worried about her instead of worrying that he was lost. Justin and I tried to ask him questions, but he refused to talk. He was still scared and wouldn't stop crying. On the way back home, I sat in the back with him. He kept crying and stopping. My head hurt for him. I knew I needed to put Yvonne in her place. I told Justin that I wanted to get the cops involved. He agreed with me. So I called the cops and reported everything that Yvonne had done. He told me that they'd bring Yvonne in, and they needed Justin and I to make statements. An hour later, I got a call from Yvonne. Why are there cops at my door? What did you do that's so annoying? I told you I'd make you regret it. It's not that big of a deal. You got the police involved in this? You put my child's life in danger. Why would I not get the law involved? You got him back, didn't you? I was only trying to get back at you for keeping him away from me for so long. It's not that deep. He's still okay, right? And there's no need to worry. So you decided to traumatize my child for some petty revenge? The kid will get over it. You need to stop coddling him. That's why the men in this generation are so sensitive. Sensitive as hell. You need to teach your kid to be a man. My child is a child. His gender doesn't matter. He's expressing how scared he was when you abandoned him in a crowded place, hours away from home. Get the cops away from here now. They won't stop banging on my door. I have to sleep. Tomorrow I plan to go out with my friends. What would you have done if Don got injured? Or even worse, kidnapped? Would you have been this nonchalant? He's fine. Stop talking about hypotheticals. You're overreacting. You deserve jail time, and I'll press charges, and there's nothing you could do about that. Goodbye, Yvonne. I disown you. You don't deserve any leniency. After that, Justin, Don, and I were called to the police station to give our statements. Justin and I both recounted instances of Yvonne constantly being careless in ways that endangered Don. Then the cops asked if Don would tell them what happened. Don was afraid of the officers, but I managed to calm him down and tell him that there's nothing to be afraid of. One of the police officers offered him a bar of chocolate. He immediately relaxed. He didn't talk for a while because he was still processing everything that happened. The police let us take our time. Justin and I engaged Don's attention to the best of our ability. We tried again to make him feel like he was finally safe, but that nothing bad was going to happen again. Finally, Don opened up and told the police that Yvonne had left him at the zoo when he was standing in front of the lion enclosure. Upon a few more questions being asked, Don revealed, "Grandma told me that she had a surprise for me. She made me cover my eyes and count to 10. And when I opened my eyes, she was gone. I thought she got lost, so I decided to go find her." Thankfully, he managed to find security. They kept him in a cabin until Justin and I arrived. I was furious. I asked the police to be serious when dealing with Yvonne. They assured me that they would be. Over the next few months, Justin and I went to quite a few court trials against Yvonne. She was charged with child desertion and endangerment. Eventually, she was sentenced to 10 years in jail. Yvonne looked devastated, but I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I no longer had to worry about my son being put in dangerous situations by her hands. Don's been getting better. One of the first things that Justin and I did after the incident was put him in therapy. It's been helping him out a lot. He often asks about his grandmother, but we just told him that she's very busy and moved to a faraway place. We decided to keep Yvonne's good image in Don's eyes.